There was one seat left on the last lifeboat. She was offered it. She refused. They called him Baba Adeyemi, though his name was simply Adeyemi Olumide. The Baba came later, after the textile factories, after the schools he built in 3 states, after the water projects that still carry his name on faded metal plaques in villages he never visited twice. He was 71 that year. His wife, Folake, was 68. They had been married 46 years. In the photographs that hung in their sitting room in Victoria Island, you could see them young. Adeyemi thin as a rake in borrowed shoes. Folake with her hair pressed straight. Both of them standing outside the registry in 1979 with nothing but a future they believed in. The money came later. The respect came slowly, but the marriage, people said, never changed. They still took tea together every morning at 6. They still argued about whether to add sugar. He still lost. On the evening of April 14th, they boarded the MV Celestial Queen in Lagos, bound for Port Harcourt. It was an overnight luxury ferry, the kind businessmen used when they wanted to avoid the roads and arrive rested. 300 passengers, full-service dining, private cabins with real sheets. Adeyemi had been invited to speak at a conference on ethical business practices. Folake came because she always came. 46 years, and she had never let him travel alone. "You'll agree to things you shouldn't," she told him once, smiling. "I'm a grown man," he'd said. "Exactly." The boarding area smelled like diesel and grilled plantain. Families crowded near the lower deck entrance. Children crying, women balancing bags on their heads. The upper deck was quieter. A red carpet. A man in a bow tie checking tickets. Adeyemi and Folake had a suite on the 3rd level. Balcony, river view. A young porter carried their single suitcase. Adeyemi tipped him twice what he asked for. "God bless you, sir," the boy said. "Stay in school," Adeyemi replied. Folake touched his arm. "You say that to everyone." "Because it's true for everyone." They stood at the railing as the ferry pulled away from the dock. Lagos stretched out behind them, a smear of lights and noise and ambition. Ahead, the water was black and smooth. "Peaceful," Folake said. Adeyemi nodded. Behind them, a woman in gold jewelry laughed too loudly. A man shouted into his phone about a delayed shipment. A child ran past, chasing a ball. Folake leaned her head on Adeyemi's shoulder. He smelled like the same soap he'd used since 1983. She smelled like shea butter and something faintly floral he'd never been able to name. 46 years, he said quietly. 47 in November, she corrected. He smiled. "You're always counting ahead." "Someone has to." They went inside. The dining room was already full by the time they arrived. White tablecloths, candles in glass holders. A man playing keyboard in the corner, something soft and jazzy that no one was listening to. Adeyemi recognized a few faces. A senator he'd met once at a fundraiser, a woman who ran a logistics company, a pastor whose face was on billboards. They found a small table near the window. A waiter appeared immediately. Young man, nervous smile. "Good evening, sir. Ma, what can I bring you?" Folake ordered fish. Adeyemi ordered the same. "Nothing to drink, sir?" "Water is fine." The waiter hesitated. "We have champagne, wine, complimentary for sweet guests." Adeyemi shook his head. "Water." The boy left. Folake looked at her husband. "You're allowed to enjoy things, you know." "I enjoy water." "You enjoy being difficult." He reached across the table and took her hand. Her knuckles were swollen, arthritis. She never complained. "I enjoy you," he said. She squeezed his fingers. "Better answer." Around them, the room hummed with wealth, laughter, deal-making. A man 2 tables over was talking loudly about a land acquisition. Another was showing photos of his new car on his phone. Folake watched them quietly. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. Adeyemi frowned. "Regret what?" "Giving so much away." He was quiet for a moment. The waiter brought their fish, grilled with pepper sauce and fried plantain on the side. When the boy left, Adeyemi spoke. "I regret the years I didn't give enough," he said. "I regret the factory I almost closed because I wanted a bigger house. I regret the scholarship I delayed because I wanted a 3rd car." "You never bought a 3rd car?" Because you stopped me? She smiled. I did. So no, he said. I don't regret it. He ate slowly. She did too. The pastor at the far table stood up and began praying loudly over his food. People turned to look. Some bowed their heads. Others rolled their eyes. Folake leaned forward. Do you think he means it? The prayer? Yes. Adeyemi thought. I think he believes he means it. That's not the same thing. No, Adeyemi agreed. It's not. They finished their meal in comfortable silence. Later they stood on the balcony of their cabin. The river stretched out on both sides, wide and dark. The moon was half hidden behind clouds. Folake wrapped a shawl around her shoulders. The night air was cooler than she'd expected. I used to be afraid of water, she said. Adeyemi looked at her. You never told me that. It never came up. 46 years and you never mentioned you're afraid of water. She smiled. 47 in November. Folake. I'm not afraid anymore, she said. I got over it. When? The first time you took me to the beach. I didn't want you to think I was foolish. He stared at her. I would never think that. I know, but I was young. I thought love meant pretending to be braver than I was. And now? She looked out at the water. Now I know love means telling the truth. He moved closer and put his arm around her. They stood like that for a long time. Somewhere below, someone was playing music. American hip-hop, bass shaking the walls. Folake sighed. We're old. Speak for yourself. You're 71. Prime of life. She laughed. It was a soft sound. The kind of laugh that only comes after decades. Come to bed, she said. They went inside. The cabin was small but clean. A double bed with too many pillows. A mirror. A wooden cross on the wall. Folake sat on the edge of the bed and removed her earrings. Adeyemi took off his watch and set it on the nightstand. She looked at him. Do you ever think about what happens after? After what? After us. He sat down beside her. Sometimes. And I hope someone remembers why we did what we did. Not just what we built, but why. She nodded slowly. I hope that too. They lay down. The ferry rocked gently beneath them. The engine hummed. Folake reached for his hand in the dark. Adeyemi. Yes. If something ever happened, nothing's going to happen. But if it did, Folake. She was quiet. If something happened, he said carefully, we would face it together. Like everything else. Promise? Promise. She closed her eyes. He stayed awake a little longer, listening to her breathing. Outside, the river moved silently beneath them. The alarm came at 2:47 a.m. Not a siren, just a sound. A deep grinding metallic scrape that shook the walls and woke them both instantly. Adeyemi sat up. What was that? The lights flickered. Then the ferry lurched hard to the left. Folake grabbed the edge of the bed. Adeyemi, another lurch, harder. Something fell in the bathroom, glass breaking. The lights went out. For a moment, there was only darkness and the sound of the engine straining, whining, wrong. Then the emergency lights kicked in. Red dimension. Adeyemi stood up. Get dressed. What's happening? I don't know. Get dressed. They moved quickly. No panic, just precision. Folake pulled on her dress. Adeyemi found his shoes. Outside in the corridor, they could hear voices, shouting, running footsteps. Someone pounded on their door. Everyone to the upper deck, now. Adeyemi opened the door. A crew member stood there, young man, eyes wide. We've hit something. You need to go up, now. What did we hit? I don't know, sir. Please. Upper deck. The man ran to the next cabin. Adeyemi turned to Folake. Stay close. She nodded. They stepped into the corridor. It was chaos. People in nightclothes, barefoot, stumbling. A woman crying. A man shouting into a phone with no signal. A child screaming for his mother. The ferry tilted again. Someone fell. Adeyemi helped him up. Older man, bleeding from his forehead. Go, Adeyemi told him. Upstairs. The man nodded and stumbled toward the stairs. Folake gripped Adeyemi's arm. It's sinking. We don't know that. I can feel it. He looked at her. She was right. The tilt was subtle but constant. The kind of angle that doesn't correct itself. "Come on," he said. They moved toward the stairs. The upper deck was madness. 300 people trying to fit into a space meant for half that. Crew members shouting contradictory instructions. Someone trying to lower a lifeboat and failing. A woman praying loudly in Yoruba. Adeyemi pushed through the crowd, keeping Folake's hand in his. A crew member stood on a bench, megaphone in hand. "Please remain calm. We are handling the situation." "What happened?" someone shouted. "We are assessing." "Are we sinking?" "Please remain calm." The ferry tilted further. Someone screamed. A lifeboat splashed into the water. People surged toward it. "Women and children first," a voice boomed. It was the captain. Older man, white uniform, face like stone. "Women and children to the lifeboats. Men, step back." No one stepped back. The captain pulled out a whistle and blew it, sharp and cutting. "I will have order on this vessel. Women and children first." A security officer appeared beside him. "Young man," baton in hand. "Step back or I will make you step back." Slowly, grudgingly, the men moved. Women and children pressed forward. Adeyemi turned to Folake. "Go." She looked at him. "Go," he said again. She didn't move. A woman pushed past them, dragging 2 children. Another followed. Then another. The lifeboat was filling quickly. "Ma'am," a crew member pointed at Folake. "You, come." Folake shook her head. "Ma'am, you need to get in the boat." "No." The crew member looked confused. "Ma'am, I'm not going without my husband. There's no room for him." "Then there's no room for me." Adeyemi turned to her. "Folake, no. This is not the time. I'm not going without you. You have to." 46 years, she said quietly. "Do you really think I'm starting now?" He stared at her. The crew member looked between them. "Sir, talk to your wife." "She's made her decision," Adeyemi said. "Sir, she'll die." "We know." The crew member blinked. Then he turned and moved to the next person. The lifeboat lowered into the water. It was overloaded, people hanging off the sides. Another boat was being prepared. The ferry groaned. Metal twisting. Water was coming up through the lower decks now. They could hear it. A rushing sound. Unstoppable. Folak looked at the crowd. Women fighting to get into the boats. Men being held back. Children crying. She saw a young woman, maybe 19, holding a baby. The girl was small, thin, afraid. She was standing at the edge of the crowd, trying to push forward, but too weak. Folake let go of Adeyemi's hand. She walked over to the girl. "What's your name?" The girl looked up, startled. "Blessing. How old is your baby?" 4 months. Folake touched the child's head, soft, warm. "Come with me," she said. She took Blessing's arm and led her through the crowd. People moved aside. Something about Folak's presence made them move. She brought the girl to the front. To the crew member loading the next lifeboat. "This one goes first," Folak said. The crew member nodded. "Yes, ma'am." Blessing stared at her. "Thank you." "Go." The girl climbed into the boat, clutching her baby. Folake turned and walked back to Adeyemi. He was watching her. "There are others," she said quietly. "I know." Another lifeboat. Another group of women and children. Folak found a pregnant woman. Then a grandmother with 2 grandchildren. Then a teenage girl traveling alone. Each time she brought them forward. Each time she walked back to Adeyemi. The crew member who had tried to get her into the boat approached again. "Ma'am, this is the last one. Please." Folak looked at the boat. There was 1 space left. She looked at Adeyemi. He said nothing. She looked back at the crew member. "Is there a child who needs it?" "Ma'am, is there?" The crew member looked around. "No, ma'am. All the children are in the boats." "Then give it to someone young." "Ma'am, you qualify." "I'm 68 years old. I've lived." "Give it to someone who hasn't." The crew member hesitated. Then he nodded. He turned to a young woman nearby. "You, get in." The woman looked at Folake. "Are you sure?" Folake smiled. "I'm sure." The woman climbed into the boat. It lowered into the water. That was the last one. The ferry was tilting at 30 degrees now. People were sliding, holding onto railings. Some had jumped into the water. They could hear splashing, screaming. The lifeboats were rowing away, slow and heavy. On the deck, maybe 70 people remained. Mostly men, a few women who had refused to leave their husbands. Some elderly, some crew. The captain stood at the helm, still trying to radio for help. The security officer was gone. Jumped, someone said. Adeyemi and Folake stood at the railing, watching the boats disappear into the darkness. "Do you regret it?" he asked. She thought about it. "No," she said. "Do you?" "No." The ferry shuddered, a long groaning sound. Someone behind them was praying. Others were crying. Folake looked at Adeyemi. "I was afraid of water." "I know. I'm not afraid anymore." "I know that too." She took his hand. The ferry tilted further. 45 degrees. People were falling now, sliding across the deck, into the water. Adeyemi and Folake held onto the railing. 46 years, he said. 47 in November. He smiled. The lights went out completely. In the darkness, they could hear the water rising. Cold, fast. Folake squeezed his hand. "Don't let go," she said. "Never." The ferry tilted past 60 degrees, and then it rolled. The water was cold and black and endless. Adeyemi held Folake's hand as they went under. He could feel her fingers tight around his. He could feel the weight of the ferry pulling them down. He could feel his lungs beginning to burn. But he didn't let go. Somewhere above them, there was air and moonlight and the sound of survivors calling out to each other. But down here, there was only the two of them. 46 years. 47 in November. He squeezed her hand one last time. She squeezed back, and then the river took them both. When the rescue boats arrived 3 hours later, they found 63 bodies floating in the water. They found debris, luggage, a child's shoe, a Bible, pieces of the MV Celestial Queen scattered across 2 kilometers of river. They found survivors clinging to wreckage, hypothermic, in shock. They found the lifeboats still rowing, still overloaded, still trying to reach the shore. What they didn't find, not for 2 more days, were Adeyemi and Folake Olumide. The news broke at dawn. Luxury ferry sinks in Niger Delta. Over 60 dead. By noon, the names were being released. Adeyemi Olumide, philanthropist, age 71. Folake Olumide, wife, age 68. The nation stopped. His factories closed for a week. The schools he'd built held vigils. The water projects he'd funded put up black ribbons. But it wasn't the money people remembered. It was what the survivors said. Blessing was the first to speak. She was 19, the girl with the 4-month-old baby, the one Folake had pushed to the front of the line. A reporter found her at the hospital in Port Harcourt. She was wrapped in a blanket, nursing her child, eyes hollow. "Tell us what happened," the reporter said, microphone too close. Blessing stared at the camera. "There was an old woman," she said quietly. "She gave me her place." "What do you mean?" "I was at the back. I couldn't get through. My baby was crying. I thought we were going to die." Blessing's voice broke. "She came and got me. She took my arm and she pushed people aside and she put me in the boat." "Who was she?" "I don't know. I didn't ask her name." The reporter checked his notes. "Was it Folake Olumide?" Blessing looked up. "Is that her name?" "Yes." Blessing started to cry. "She didn't get in. There was space. They called her. She didn't get in." "Why not?" "Her husband wasn't allowed. They said men had to wait. She wouldn't leave him." The reporter leaned in. "She chose to die." Blessing looked at him with something close to anger. "She chose to stay." The interview aired that night. By morning, it had been shared 40,000 times. More survivors came forward. The pregnant woman, the grandmother with the 2 grandchildren, the teenage girl traveling alone. Each one had the same story. An old woman, calm, dignified, moving through the chaos like she had all the time in the world. Bringing them forward, making sure they got into the boats, never getting in herself. A crew member was interviewed, the young man who had tried to get Folake into the last lifeboat. "I begged her," he said. "I told her she was going to die. She knew. She said give the seat to someone young." "What did her husband say?" The crew member shook his head. "Nothing. He just stood there watching her. Like he already knew what she was going to do." Did he try to stop her? No. Why not? The crew member thought about it. I think he understood. Understood what? That she wasn't the kind of woman you could stop. 3 days after the sinking, a fishing boat found 2 bodies floating together near the shore. They were holding hands. The fishermen called the authorities. The medical examiner confirmed their identities. Adeyemi and Folake Olumide, married 46 years, died together. The fishermen refused payment for the recovery. "We don't take money for that," one of them said. "For what?" a journalist asked. The fisherman gestured at the bodies, still holding hands even in death. "For love," he said. The funeral was held in Lagos. Thousands came, people who had worked in his factories, children who had attended his schools, families who drank from his water projects, but also people who had never met him, people who had just heard the story. The church couldn't hold them all. They stood outside in the heat, listening through speakers. The pastor gave the eulogy. The same pastor who had prayed loudly over his dinner on the ferry. He had survived. His voice shook when he spoke. "I sat 3 tables away from them that night," he said. "I was talking about a land deal. I was showing off my phone. I was loud and I was proud, and I thought I was important." He paused. They were quiet. They ate fish. They held hands. Another pause. "I got into a lifeboat. I elbowed a woman out of the way to get there. I justified it. I told myself I had a ministry. I told myself God needed me alive." His voice broke. Adeyemi Olumide had built 17 schools. Folake Olumide had run feeding programs that fed thousands of children. They had more reason to live than I did. They had done more good than I ever will. He looked at the coffins. But they gave their seats away. Silence in the church. "I don't know what that makes me," the pastor said, "but I know what it makes them." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. After the funeral, people gathered in small groups. They told stories. Someone remembered the time Adeyemi had paid off the medical bills of an entire hospital ward. Anonymously, they only found out later. Someone else remembered Folake organizing a scholarship program for girls in the north. She had funded it for 12 years without ever putting her name on it. "They didn't do it for recognition," someone said. "No," another agreed. "They did it because it was right." A young woman spoke up. She was in her 20s, university student. "My mother was on that ferry," she said. "She was one of the ones who got into a lifeboat." People turned to look at her. Mrs. Olumide brought her to the front. "My mother didn't even know who she was. She was just another old woman in the crowd. But she took my mother's hand and she said, 'You have children waiting for you. Go.'" The young woman's voice shook. "My mother is alive because Mrs. Olumide died. How do I live with that?" No one answered, because there was no answer. The government launched an investigation. The ferry had been overloaded. Safety inspections had been falsified. The crew had not been properly trained. 7 people were arrested. The company that owned the ferry declared bankruptcy. The captain survived. He was found clinging to a piece of wreckage. He refused all interviews. Someone tracked him down 6 months later. He was living in a village, working as a fisherman. "Do you remember Adeyemi and Folake Olumide?" the reporter asked. The captain nodded. "Did you see what they did?" Another nod. "What do you think about it?" The captain was quiet for a long time. "I think," he finally said, "that I have been a captain for 30 years. I have commanded ships. I have given orders. I have been respected." He looked out at the water. "But I will never be half the man he was." "Why not?" "Because when the moment came, I thought about saving myself. He thought about saving his wife. She thought about saving strangers." The captain turned away. "I lived. They died. You tell me who made the right choice?" A year later, a statue was erected in Lagos. Not a grand monument, just a simple bronze sculpture in a small park near the water. An elderly couple holding hands. The plaque read, "Adeyemi and Folake Olumide, married 46 years. Died together April 14th. They gave their seats away. People come to visit it. Some leave flowers, some leave notes. One note, written in a child's handwriting, said, 'My mama said you saved her. Thank you. I am 8 now. I will make you proud.' Another note from a young man. I was going to end my life. Then I heard your story. If you could choose love over survival, I can choose to keep trying." An old woman left a note that said, "I wasted 40 years angry at my husband. You taught me it's never too late." The notes pile up. Someone clears them every week and saves them in a box. No one knows who. Blessing, the 19-year-old girl with the baby, visits the statue every year on April 14th. Her child is 4 now, a boy, bright eyes, quick smile. She brings him to the statue and she tells him the story. "There was a woman on a sinking boat," she says. "She could have lived. She chose to make sure you could." The boy looks up at the statue. "Why?" he asks. Blessing thinks about it. "Because some people measure life by how long they live. She measured it by what she gave." "Is that good?" "Yes, baby, that's the best thing." The boy touches the bronze hands. "Were they scared?" "I don't know. I would be scared." Blessing pulls him close. "Me too." They sit there for a while. Then Blessing says, "You know what I think?" "What?" "I think she wasn't scared of dying. I think she was scared of living wrong." The boy doesn't fully understand, but he will. One day he will. The last person to see them alive, not counting each other, was the crew member who tried to get Folake into the boat. His name was Chidi. He was 23 then. He's 33 now. He became a teacher. Every year on April 14th, he tells his students the story. He tells them about the old woman who wouldn't leave her husband. He tells them about the old man who didn't argue. He tells them about the choice. The students always ask the same question. Was it stupid? Chidi always gives the same answer. I don't know, but it wasn't small. What does that mean? It means most of us live small lives. We make small choices. We die small deaths. Adeyemi and Folake Olumide made a choice that was bigger than themselves. Maybe it was stupid. Maybe it was beautiful. But it wasn't small. One student, a girl in the back, raises her hand. Do you wish you'd done the same? Chidi is quiet. I wish, he finally says, that I had the kind of love that would make me even consider it. The girl nods. She understands. They all do. 20 years later, the survivors gather at the statue for the anniversary. Blessing is there. Her son is 17 now, tall, smart, kind. The pregnant woman is there. Her daughter is 19, studying medicine. The grandmother is there. Her grandchildren are grown. One is a lawyer, one is an engineer. They stand around the statue. No speeches, no press. Just the people who lived because 2 people didn't. Someone starts crying, then someone else, then all of them. Because it's been 20 years and they still can't make sense of it. Why them? Why were they chosen to live? What makes their lives worth more than the lives of 2 people who had done so much good? There are no answers. There will never be answers, but they're alive. And Adeyemi and Folake are not. And that's the truth they carry. On the way home, Blessing's son asks her, do you think they regretted it? What? Their choice? Do you think in the last seconds they regretted it? Blessing thinks about the stories she's heard, about how they were found holding hands, about how the fishermen said their fingers were still interlaced even after 3 days in the water. No, she says, I don't think they regretted it. How do you know? Because people who regret don't hold on that tight. Her son is quiet. Then he says, I hope I find that someday. Find what? Someone worth drowning for. Blessing's breath catches. No, she says firmly, I hope you find someone worth living for. Worth living well for. Worth being better for. Isn't that the same thing? No, baby, it's not. She pulls the car over. She looks at him. Adeyemi and Folake didn't die because they loved each other. They died because they'd spent 46 years building a love that couldn't survive one of them getting in a boat without the other. That's not the same as dying for someone. That's living so fully with someone that death with them is better than life without them. Her son stares at her. Do you understand? She asks. I think so. Good. Because I didn't save their story just so you could turn it into a tragedy. It's not a tragedy, it's a testament. To what? To the kind of people we should try to be. The story spreads, told in churches, told in schools, told in homes when parents want their children to understand that there are things more important than survival. Things like integrity, like love, like knowing who you are when everything is falling apart. In London, a man who has never been to Nigeria tells the story at his grandmother's funeral. She was on the ferry. She survived because Folake Olumide looked her in the eye and said, "You're young, you go." "Why does it matter?" someone asks him. "Because," he says, "my grandmother lived 57 more years because of a woman who had 46 years of marriage and chose to honor every single one of them." It matters because it proves that what we do with our lives, how we love, how we choose, how we face the end, it echoes. My grandmother is gone. I'm here. My children are here. All because Folake Olumide understood that some things are worth dying for. Like what? Like promises. The story has been told 10,000 times in 10,000 ways, but it always ends the same. Two people, a sinking boat, a choice. They held hands, they went down together, and the world is different because they did. Not better necessarily, not worse, just different, because 237 people lived, and they told their children, and their children told their children, and somewhere in the lineage of all those lives is a truth that's hard to articulate but impossible to forget. We are not alone. What we do matters. How we love matters. And when the water rises, who we choose to be in that moment is who we've always been. Adeyemi and Folake Olumide were, at the end, exactly who they'd been for 46 years. People who loved each other, people who thought of others, people who knew that survival without dignity isn't survival at all. The last note left at the statue was found on a Tuesday morning. It was written on the back of a receipt. It said, "I don't know if you were right. I don't know if I could do what you did, but I know the world is meaner without you. Thank you for showing us we can still be kind when everything is falling apart. Thank you for holding hands. Thank you for staying. I'll try to do the same." There was no signature. There didn't need to be. Because the note wasn't for Adeyemi and Folake. It was from them, from wherever they are, to the rest of us. Still here. Still trying to figure out how to live in a world where two people chose love over life and somehow, impossibly, both mattered. They called him Baba Adeyemi. They called her Mama Folake. They died together on April 14th. They were married 46 years. They held hands at the end. And now, when people talk about love, about sacrifice, about knowing who you are when everything is taken away, they tell this story, not because it's easy, not because it has a happy ending, but because it's true. And truth, even when it hurts, is the only thing that lasts. If you enjoyed this story, I'm certain you'll enjoy the next one showing on your screen right now. Please click on the thumbnail to watch the next story. I'd appreciate your support. Like this video, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to my channel. See you in my next story. Bye.